All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Greetings from the Garden State, powered by the New Jersey Lottery. I'm your host, Mike Ham. We're here with John Cozz at Cozz Coffee.
Hello.
Cozz, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So this is like the nerve center of all the stuff that we're basically going to talk about, right? I mean, this is where
basically
the coffee truck's parked outside. We just got a iced, what'd you give me, an iced espresso?
Iced Americano.
Iced Americano.
Pretty much an iced espresso with some water.
Okay, great. Love it. But yeah, like I was telling you before we started, we have a lot to talk about because, well, and I told you also, we've kind of ran in similar circles. Like we go to a lot of the same places, but I don't think we've ever actually met before today.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. And so, we got the coffee. We could probably start there because we're drinking it. So talk to me a little bit about yourself though first. So you're from Jersey originally. Where'd you grow up? All that kind of stuff.
So I grew up in Nutley, New Jersey, Essex County, Italian land, Sopranos land, all that fun stuff. Grew up here. Kind of just the influence of Essex County kind of shaped me in the person I am, and like all that background, just being in like an area where you could kind of walk around, but it's also like a small suburban town too. So it's cool to like get both sides of that. Yeah. Skateboarder, musician, coffee roaster guy, business guy kind of. But yeah, I live in Bloomfield now.
Yeah, same. Nice. And so you've pretty much been an Essex County guy like your whole life.
Yeah. For better or for worse, usually for better.
Yeah. And so like you talk about like all the stuff that you're doing and the music and the skateboarding, like especially on like that side, like when did that kind of start for you? Like did you have a normal 9-to-5 job at any point, or
I mean, I was working in coffee, but
for somebody else.
Yeah. So wait, you said when?
Yeah, like when did when did
coffee start?
Sure, let's do coffee first. I kind of asked like 3 different questions.
Yeah. I was like, I don't get paid to play music, I was working various coffee jobs throughout college. I went to NJIT for architecture, and kind of like. I think in the middle of my 3rd year, it's a 5-year program. I was like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
What like drew me to it was I thought it was cool that you could be kind of creative, but also like grounded in the logistics of like construction and physics, which is what I liked about it. But I realized in the real world, a lot of the times it's like just either people who are either just building like boxes over and over again for developers, or competition architects who just like make these crazy designs and come up with like theories for stuff and never really do anything, or not do anything, but it's a lot of research and not really a lot of like tangibility. So that kind of deterred me a lot from architecture, but I was deep into the program at the time, so it's like, what else am I going to do? And I was working at a few different coffee shops throughout school, and the one I was at the time was they roasted coffee, and they were like, we know you don't really want to do architecture when you graduate. Do you want to come on and learn more about roasting? So I did that, and I started to like see the full scope of what a coffee business could be, and like how you could kind of shape a business from that perspective. And that I guess led to COVID, and yada yada, the same story everyone had, where like they had all this free time.
Sure.
And
same.
I mean, COVID's crazy because it just like pushed everyone to do so many different things. But I was getting more money than I've ever had in my life because of unemployment and all that, and I was still working for them. So it just felt like a time to change, and I was like, why don't I try and do this myself? So I started it, and I was like, I guess I'll launch this and see how it goes, and if I need to get a daytime job, I'll do this on the weekends or nights until it becomes more sustainable. And I feel like I launched it at like the perfect time because it was in August, which is generally a slow time for retail businesses.
Yeah.
But there was like a nice novelty around it for the first couple months. So like August through October were really good for that. And then that kind of bled into the holiday season. So it was like a nice like 6 months of like, okay, this is a lot of work. I'm getting a lot of work. This is great. And then February or January came and I realized how dead it gets after December. Yeah. And I think I did like Uber Eats that winter, but then after that it's been just Cozz Coffee.
Yeah. And when you started it, was it initially with the truck?
No, the truck I got last,
cause it's a cool truck.
Yeah. I got that last May. So the business just started as a, online mail to order roasting service. So like just fresh coffee gets delivered to your house with cool artwork on it. So all the bags have artwork from local artists on them. And that was kind of like where it all started from, just doing that. And from there I started doing farmers markets. I think I did the Bloomfield Farmers Market was the first one I did, and I was just serving like hot drip coffee and selling bags of coffee on like a folding table. And from there I started to learn more about mobile espresso carts and stuff, and me and my dad were talking about building one. So we had like a broken, it's kind of like that steel table over there, the stainless steel table. Yeah. We had one of those where the leg broke on it. So we were like, let's take this top and make an espresso cart with it. So we built out the espresso cart. Then I started doing more events because I had a whole espresso machine and this cart, doing weddings, parties, things like that. And, that led to like, okay, the mobile business is kind of a good way to build the brand, do festivals and, make a bit more money than just having the online store and give it more of a brand presence. So I did the cart for a little over a year, and then the trailer came into play last year and I started doing more events with it. Yeah. And now it's open daily, or not daily, but Tuesday through Saturday. Yeah. And I do market Sunday.
Gotcha. And so when you mentioned like when you start the business and it's just online and, mail to order type stuff, with like the artists and stuff like that, on the bags and all that, was that something like you knew initially, like when you started, you're like, oh, we're going to kind of differentiate ourselves this way? Because I feel like if you go online, you're like, coffee mailed to me, I feel like there would be a lot of options.
I mean, that's kind of the thing with, really anything comes down to branding. Right. And I was just thinking of like what I like to buy is just, stuff with cool art on it attracts me. And I guess that's kind of the first segue into skateboarding and all this is like, my background in skateboarding. I was always attracted to skateboards with cool artwork on them, or like the artists behind decks and stuff like that. And, I really like the advertising approach that skateboarding brought in. So I knew that was going to be part of the brand, is like, I want something that you're not just buying a bag of coffee, because you could buy a bag of coffee from anyone. And like, at this point in the game, most coffee you buy, if it's locally roasted, is going to be good. So I, in my mind, it all came down to branding, and I just was like, oh, this is a cool way to, highlight some of my friends who I think are really talented, and just get their artwork out to people. Yeah. And just, under a cool umbrella. Cool. Coffee.
Yeah. I also have a question. And we've had this instance kind of happen a few times in episodes of people that own their own businesses. Like we had a chef who was in law school and dropped out to go cook in a kitchen somewhere. And his parents were like, but you're smart, dude. Like, what are you doing? At any point, was anybody like, John, come on, architecture, it's the steady income that you need to be a success in life? Or is it more of a support thing? Be like, yeah, it's not for you. That's cool.
When I was not doing my own thing, it was a little different. I mean, like, nobody was necessarily telling me I shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
But I think everybody was kind of like, you should eventually like learn this and then do your own thing one day. I actually, my one cousin, I've never told him this, but it was like a very defining moment for me in doing this. And we're not even like super close, but it was like we were at a wedding and I was talking about how I wanted to learn more about coffee roasting, and the company I was working for, the roastery was an hour and a half away. So I was like, I'm gonna have to commute every day, and like it would destroy my car. And my cousin was like, a car's a car. You know, you learn a skill, you get another car. And I was like, I guess that's true.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, no, nobody was like bummed that I wasn't doing architecture. I mean, I think it was more like just finish school, so you always have something to fall back on.
Sure, like the degree and all that. Yeah,
so, which I never wanted to like fully drop out of school to do coffee or something. I was like, I'm far along in this anyways. I might as well just get my degree. And, you know, I could always say I have a degree in architecture that I don't use. And everyone's like, why? It's like just a funny thing. But I like that I went to school for it. I think the education aspect is cool. And what I was saying before about it existing in like creativity and logistics, like I like that I had a pretty well-rounded education in that regard. Yeah,
for sure. And I mean, I think it kind of speaks to like a little bit of the, you know, start something, finish it, you know, all that.
Yeah.
But you talk about like the creativity side of it too. And obviously there's like a whole well that we can go down with the creative side of the stuff that you do. So like we'll take music, for instance. When did you start playing music? And then kind of how has that progressed over time?
So I started playing music when I was like 10 or 11, I think. My parents got me a guitar. My dad was a drummer, but he was like, let me try and teach you how to play guitar before you know, he doesn't know how to play guitar, but he was trying to like learn to teach me. And that kind of was my first exposure to it. And then I was like most kids, alternative kids, I got really into Green Day, and that was kind of like life-changing for me, and I wanted to be a punk rocker. And I think I was on that like path for a good 2-3 years in elementary school, and then middle school came along and I met like a bunch of kids who skated and was just kind of like, all right, it's either skateboarding or music, even though both worlds are so intertwined. I just was like, I can't do both. I need to fixate on one. So I was just full-time skateboarder. That was like my lifestyle. Identity was just that for like all my teenage years into my early 20s. And then around like 21, 22, I always had a guitar, but I never was like writing songs or really like playing well or anything. But around that age, I kind of was getting burnt out on skateboarding and the people I was surrounding myself with, and was like, I need to like start expressing myself a little more creatively or in a different way. So I started writing songs and was like, I don't know. I had like a one of those moments where I'm like, I'm done with everyone. I like deleted a bunch of skaters off of Instagram. I was like, I don't want to talk to these people anymore. I don't like, just because I was like going through something, I felt like I needed to change. And then I just kind of like started from scratch and like was like, all right, let me take on this whole lifestyle and like see what the music scene's about. And like, it's funny because I feel like it's like a lot of people were like, oh yeah, I started going to the Meat Locker when I was 13, and that was like how I got into the scene. It was like, for me, it was like at 22. But I was like, I know how to make friends from skateboarding and like what it means to be a part of a scene. So I guess I'm just going to do this all over again, but with music. So the first like 2 years of it felt really weird because a lot of my skate friends were like, what are you doing? Like, what?
We're going out. Like,
yeah. Like, I would be like, no, I'm going to go to this show alone. Like, it's like,
what's wrong with you?
A smelly basement or something. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. This is just like how I want to be spending my time right now. And it's cool now because obviously, like, you know, those lines don't need to be as hard, and I could skate and do music and all those things
and run a business, and you know, all that.
But at the time, it did feel very like one or the other, and some of my friends were kind of bummed on it, and we like had brief falling outs, but now it's all good. I mean, that was like 10 years ago now.
Yeah. I do want to, because we're talking about it and we've touched on it a couple times, the skateboarding thing. And so when you say like it's like a big part of your kind of like what you're doing and your life and all that from your teens into your early 20s, like what's the like level that you're doing that at? Is just kind of like just hanging out at skate parks and stuff, or is it more serious? Like what was the level of involvement, I guess, in that? And then what's the scene like in New Jersey of skating?
Skateboarding, like for me, I'm more of, I guess, a street skater. I like, you know, there's street skating, but then there's like people who like go out and film video parts, and then there's just people who will like skate street at a skate park, sort of thing. And for me, it's always been more about filming video parts and like finding spots to skate. So it's kind of more of, it's like a blend of like urban exploration, if you will, cool. And like just pushing yourself like to try and do something, just figure stuff out. So like I've always tried to take a creative approach to skating, but like what really makes me tick is like trying to find where stuff is, or like watch a skate video, find the spot that like this person skated. And, you know, like, you ask your people, you know, we all have like friends who know maybe where it is. And then you go there and you're like, oh man, this thing is a lot harder to skate than I thought it would be. I don't know how this person did that there. And it's just like 3 years of doing that to film like a 2-minute video in a video. Yeah. Like that's like kind of my experience with skateboarding. And has always been like, to relate it to music, like, filming a video part is kind of like making an album, and each trick is kind of like a song, if you will. Like that's, I guess, a pretty simple analogy to it. Yeah. But yeah, my approach has always been like, I like making videos, being a part of skate videos, and finding spots and just like being in that part of the scene. Yeah, the skate scene is cool in general. I mean, there's a skate park in Montclair that got built during COVID, and it started as just like kids bringing ramps to the tennis court. And then there's this woman, Alexis Sablone, who is a architect and a skateboarder in the Olympics. She designs these like skate sculptures, and they built the first one in the United States at the courts in Montclair. Okay. So half the park is that, and then the other half is like DIY stuff. Me and my friends have built a few things there, like done fundraisers for concrete builds. So that's kind of like, if I'm at the skate park, I'm at the courts in Montclair. Yeah.
When you were talking about like the exploration side of skating, I'm curious just because like this whole show is basically built on exploring and doing things and going places. Were there ever any places where you're just like, holy shit, this is so cool, and if we can keep them in Jersey, that would be even better?
Yeah, I mean, that is like my introduction to like finding places like Ruts Hut or White Manna is like just being out skating in Hackensack for the first time, being like, oh, there's this hamburger spot here, you know, like, so like that's how I kind of started like getting into like figuring out like the quirks of towns in the area. But I do remember the first time I skated Newark. You know, growing up, like I was always like told that don't go to Newark. And obviously, like anywhere, there are parts of it that you shouldn't be in. I would go to them and like find, you know, there's stuff to skate there. But the first time I was skating in downtown Newark, I was like pushing around all these tall buildings, and it was kind of like emulating the same energy of like skating around New York. Like it captured that same kind of thing for me. It's like pushing between the cars and like these tall buildings. And I was like, oh man, like they have, New York is this whole big thing, but we kind of have that here. Like that was kind of my exposure to being like, why can't this be as cool as New York City?
Yeah.
So that was like really, really eye-opening to me as a teenager to be like, oh, we could go anywhere.
Yeah.
And like all my friends were just hanging out in Nutley, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I was in New Brunswick this morning, and then we picked up some kid in Mahwah, then we drove out to Bernardsville, and then we ended the day in Passaic and went to this random taco shop. Like, bro, what are you doing? Like that was how we would spend all of our time, just like cruising high, and like right at the beginning of iPhone. So I was like feeling real good about like all my highway connections because I didn't really know the GPSs that well. So I was like, I had one summer I had a friend, 2 kids who didn't drive yet. So I would pick the one kid up in Mahwah every morning who shot photos. And then our other friend, who was the filmer, lived in Bernardsville. So I'd go to his house in Mahwah super early, then drive down 287 to Bernardsville.
That's a lot of driving. Like, those aren't close.
Yeah, no. And then the worst part is we would skate like Newark all day. So we'd come back to like where I live, and then I'd have to drop them both off. So it's like
come all the way back.
Yeah, but that was like when we were 18 and like able to get up at 9 a.m. and be out for 12 hours.
Yeah, right. And not have any issues with that.
Yeah.
The Mayo Performing Arts Center is the heart of arts and entertainment in Morristown, New Jersey. MPAC presents over 200 events annually and is home to an innovative children's arts education program. To see MPAC's upcoming schedule of world-class concerts, stand-up comedy, family shows, and more, head to mayoarts.org or just click the link in our show notes.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about the crew over at Make Cool Shit. These are the magicians who recently gave our podcast a jaw-dropping makeover. You know how we roll here at Greetings from the Garden State podcast, right? We're all about that Garden State attitude. Well, Make Cool Shit shares that same vibe, and they've got something absolutely epic to offer. It's called the Unlimited Cool Shit Design Subscription. It's a game changer, my friends. Imagine this: unlimited creativity, one flat monthly fee, and none of that boring stuff. It's like having your very own army of design superheroes on speed dial. Whether you're a fresh rate startup or a seasoned business looking to shake things up, the team at Make Cool Shit has got your back. It's all about making your brand sizzle, no matter where you are in your journey. So if you're ready to turn your ideas into mind-blowing realities, then it's time to connect with Make Cool Shit. Check them out on Instagram at WeMakeCoolShit, or visit their website, WeMakeCoolShit.co. Remember, that's co, not com.
It's really cool. And I love just kind of like how, especially knowing a little bit about you before we started recording this episode, and then actually recording it and getting to know you better, and just kind of knowing that you're like all over the place doing different things and all that. That's kind of like a key moment of like a formative years type thing.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, myself included, like for the most part, spent their childhoods or whatever kind of like in their little bubble.
Yeah.
Like, their little area of wherever they live. And then now being able to kind of explore more, it's, scratching an itch that I didn't even know that I had.
Yeah.
But I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely like I'm stoked that that's kind of how I grew up, because it just introduced me to so many different people, and I have friends kind of all over the state, and I don't know, it's just cool just to
cool.
see like different just have like different crews in different areas.
Yeah. So we started this whole conversation basically talking about the music, and then we went down the skateboard thing.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the music side. So you're making music. I was listening to it yesterday just so I knew, some of the songs and kind of what the vibe was and all that kind of stuff. So like, when do you decide like, oh, I'm going to start putting this stuff out for people to check out and listen to and consume?
So like I said earlier, I was like, I had kind of this moment where I was like, I'm done with skateboarders.
Yeah.
I don't want to associate with them. It was like, I need to express myself some other way. So I started writing these songs that were just like very sad, earnest, bad songs, and was like listening to a lot of music that was self-recorded, self-released, and was like, oh, this is something that I could do and just throw it up online. So that was, I think the first thing I put out was in 2015. And I just kind of like hit the ground running with it. Just got really excited about it and like met this person, then met this person, then missed this person. And it just kind of threw me into the scene pretty head on. And just started learning like more how things work and what I wanted to write songs about. Quickly was like, I don't know if like the sad guy thing needs to be done anymore. Maybe I'll just write songs about the things I like instead of the things that I hate. So I started writing more songs about New Jersey, food, and then I try to write happy songs.
Yeah, which are great. People love to be happy. Yeah. And like, have you played places? Like, have you like played live places or anything like that?
I'm kind of taking a step back from playing out just because it's really hard to do that and run a business. But I do like to play out. Always Pet Shop in Jersey City is a fun place to play. The Meat Locker is like a classic place, like horrible, but like it's like, it's like a, I don't know. It's crazy that it exists, but it's a rite of passage, I think, for everyone to play there.
Of course.
And a lot of places kind of shut down after and during COVID. But yeah, and I've played at Ghost Talk once, but I've done a few events there. Yeah. I don't know when this is coming out, this podcast, but we are playing there next month. But
it might.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
I'm not trying to plug the show.
Sure, no, of course.
But yeah.
Well, what's funny, I'll give you a plug. We put up on our Jersey Fest Instagram because we did the whole show and all that, and then we just put out some content on there from what we recorded, and I put up something like, who do you want to see at the next Jersey Fest? And Joe Macavecchi, who is the front man for Jackson Pines, was like, John Cozz. Like, he put in there for you to do that. And I was like, we'll have to add him to
that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really, they're playing at a Ghost Talk.
Ghost Talk this Saturday. Yeah. We're going to be there.
Oh, sick. Yeah. I hopefully can go. I have like the most Italian schedule, North Jersey Italian schedule on Saturday. I have a work in the morning, then a baptism, then a graduation party.
That is the most,
yeah. If I had to go to like my third cousin's wake or something too, that would be the full scope of the day.
Yeah, everything.
But
and then family dinner at the end.
Yeah. But I would like, I've seen them, I think, twice at my friend Alan's house, the Porchista house, and they're really cool. So I would like to go to that show.
Yeah. No, they're awesome. We saw them in Asbury Park once. Obviously, they played Jersey Fest this year, and our theme song is a Jackson Pines song. But yeah, so I'm also curious because, we're talking about all these different things and all these places you've been and all these people that you've met and all these things that you've kind of accomplished kind of in your life. And things that you've been able to do. I'm curious if there are certain people over the course of that time that had like major impacts on you and what you did, and they could be in different areas or whatever, but are there any ones that, I mean, you're probably going to wind up leaving somebody out, but is there anybody, like any people in particular that were helpful for certain things, like whether it's the business or, the artistic side, the creative side?
Yeah, that is kind of a hard question because it's just like all of my friends have always inspired me to do stuff.
And like you mentioned your cousin too before, it was like you said, not even like super tight with, but still had a impact.
Yeah, that was just like a defining moment for like being like, you know what? But I don't know. I think just to not insult any of my friends.
Sure.
I think like
all John's friends.
Family has been a big aspect in it, and like growing up, both my parents were very big on just like something's broken, we'll fix it ourselves. We want to build a deck in the backyard, let's build it ourselves kind of thing. My dad my dad's a podiatrist, but he also is a wine hobbyist, a stained glass maker.
That's cool.
He was a magician growing up. So like growing up, like I do music and skateboarding. He was a magician. So he would build his own magic tricks. And when I was a kid, he was doing them kind of for fun and just telling us stories about him and his friends, like going all over doing magic shows. So that was like obviously a huge influence. Then my mom and her family are just crazy energy of just like 90-year-old women just cooking till the day they die. You know, my grandma would, like, she was like 4 foot tall, like knocking over a jar with a butcher knife to like try and catch it. I'm like, I could get that for you, but
no, they don't need any help.
But just being around that kind of energy always has like inspired me to like, okay, I'm waking up and I'm just going to do something all day long. I'm going to try and do it myself. I'm going to try and learn this, attack it this way. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I could list a bunch of friends, but I don't. We don't have the time.
Yeah. There you go. So I also want to talk about the movie that you made. Like what kind of what's it called? Because I forget.
The Legend of Louis.
The Legend of Louis. So talk to me about what that is, why you did it, and then how like that process kind of came about.
So I've always kind of had a dream of just creating something that was like multi-dimensional. And I tried my hand at it when I first got into music. I did like a 4-song EP in this movie, but it didn't make any sense. And it was just kind of weird. I think I don't know. From my perspective, it's admirable that I tried, but it just like doesn't make any sense. Not that this is that much better of an attempt at it, but
doesn't matter. You got to try something.
Yeah, I think
you
it
can't
was
get any better at something if you don't put out some stuff before there.
I think the Legend of Louis is a little bit more cohesive because I kind of, with the first one, I think I just wrote 4 songs and was like, oh, let's make a movie to go with it.
Yeah.
But with this, it was kind of like from the start, I had this idea for a project that was going to be 4 songs about New Jersey folklore. With music videos that kind of could exist all as their own art pieces, but they were all connected to a larger story. So I took 4 of my favorite like weird New Jersey stories and just kind of took like it's weird to say like the real story because it's all like fiction. Took like the real legends and like kind of embellished them a little to like tie them together. To create this story. But yeah, it's 4 songs about Clinton Road, the Gates of Hell, the Jersey Devil, obviously, who's one of the main characters in the story. I was like, oh, it'd be funny if his name was Louis, like Lucifer Louis. So that's that. And then the Passaic River. So yeah, those are what the 4 songs are about. And then the story that ties them all together is like Lucifer or Louis, the Jersey Devil, and his cousin Red Eye Mikey, who's like the guardian of the gates of hell. He's trying to like get him to start playing music again.
That's cool. Yeah. And you did like the premiere. We talked about Ghost Talk before, but you did the premiere at Ghost Talk.
Yeah,
right?
I did. Like,
that's got to be pretty cool to kind of have, okay, we're going to show my movie in front of a bunch of people. In some cases, I don't even know them.
It was really, Steve is like the coolest dude.
He's amazing.
When I first started Cozz Coffee, he actually reached out to me and was like, yo man, I don't know you, but it seems like we know a lot of the same people, because he was involved in skateboarding. He had a brand and then also did artwork for like the Skate Shop Division East, which was like pretty formative for a lot of people. So he reached out to me and was like, if you ever have any questions about like running a business, or you need advice, like I'm here, man. So I was like, this guy is so cool. And that was kind of how my introduction to him, and that's just like how he's acted ever since. And when I started the project, I had just posted on Instagram like I'm thinking about taking this project on next summer. Like I want to film a movie kind of thing. Just putting out feelers, like hit me up if you're down to help out with it in some way. And he was like, dude, let's have a premiere for it at the brewery.
That's amazing.
So I was like, oh man, now like,
it's real. Now I gotta do it.
Yeah. So I was like, because I had already started writing the songs, but I was like, maybe I'm not going to do the movie. Maybe I'll just do the songs. And then he was like, had asked me about it a few times. So I was like, all right, now's like a real timeline. I got to get this done, you know? And yeah, so we did it there, and it was on Halloween. I think the weekend after Halloween. It's always so weird when Halloween's like on a Wednesday.
Yeah, right. Oh, is that one? Yeah. That's the most random of days.
But yeah, so we did it the weekend after Halloween, and it was fun. My friends did like a Blink-182 cover set because like bands always do like cover sets for Halloween.
Yeah.
And then we did the movie, and it was a lot of fun.
That's cool. So who'd you get to like play in the movie? Like just friends of yours that...
Yeah, so that's like the hard part
like,
with
hey,
this.
I
Is
got
like
this idea,
trying to like squeeze all this in to like, like I would like just whoever I could get. My friend Mike Tice, he helped a lot with it. My friend Ken, who's in my band, helped a lot with it.
Yeah.
My friend Maddie. But really just like I had a lot of the characters in costumes, so they're wearing a mask and like a bodysuit, so it was kind of like anyone could do it.
Sure.
So, and I did voiceovers for the characters, some of the characters too, so I was doing all the voices myself. But I was like, okay, I could get my friend, like I could get a few different people to do this, and like maybe if you look closely, you could see there are some different body types in some of the suits, but for the most part, I don't think you would notice. So it was really just whoever I could get to help me. Like I'd be like, yo,
like, who's available today?
Yeah, yo, we're doing this for like 3 hours today. I'll buy you dinner, sort of thing. Is like how, I mean, that's kind of like the basis of my whole operation. How I get people to work coffee events with me too.
Yeah.
Nah, my friend Ken is like, he's in the band. He helps me with events. He helped me with that project a lot. He worked for my dad for a day.
Okay.
He works with my cousin. He's kind of all over the place, but and then with the filming aspect of it was just the camera that I used to film skate videos. I was just like, let's do this way because it's just the easiest way to do it.
100%. We love easy ways to do stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we're filming on phones for the most part now. So you movie, skateboarding, music, coffee, like what's coming down the road for Cozz? Like, are there things you're like, ooh, I really want to try this one day, or I'm working on something right now? Like what's coming for you? Or is it just kind of like always, it might pop up tomorrow kind of thing?
In terms of skating, I just want to do like a few more video part things, but that's neither here nor there. With music, I've had like a dream of kind of converting some of my songs to be a bit more like folksy, acoustic stuff. I bought this upright bass a few months ago.
Cool.
And it was funny when I bought it. Right before I went inside the guy's house, I was on Instagram and I got a meme that was like Eric Andre. I don't know if this is even true. I think it is, but he went to school. He was in music school and he was playing the upright bass and was like, his advice was like to learn a different instrument. I was like, damn, this is like literally like right when I'm going to buy this thing. Yeah. But I bought that and it's been sitting at Ken's house. Cause he does guitar repairs.
Okay.
So it's been sitting at his house for a few months, but I do want to convert some of the songs to, be like folksy, kind of like Jackson Pines actually.
Sure. Got the upright bass, the whole deal.
Yeah, that is, in terms of music, I would like to try and do something like that and kind of just mellow out the sound a little bit, for my 30s. And then in terms of coffee or the business side of things, I just am like really trying to push the brand to do more events. I would like to like go to more places, but the one thing I am working on right now is trying to put together like ready to drink cans of cold brew, or not cold brew, but I started emailing this company a few days ago about their process and everything. So I'm hoping to get that going soon, because I think that would be a pretty good way for me to be able to like spread the brand and like do more wholesale without taking up too much of my time, because I could send out the coffee. They do all the packaging and stuff. Then I get it back, and then I can kind of just pitch it to whoever in the area.
Almost like a passive income, but not really passive kind of.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be work to sell cases of the cans, but I think like, I think that I'm excited to try and do more of that. So
yeah. Would you ever think about doing like a physical just like storefront, or are you more like into the Rover?
No, vibe? Yeah, I just from working in cafes for a decade, I saw just how busy and how time consuming being in a brick and mortar is, and I think that you could make good money not doing a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And what I like about doing events is I kind of build out my schedule, my calendar, and I see which days I'm working, so I can kind of work around that. And then with the roasting aspect of it, it's the same thing where you get, X amount of orders per week. So you can kind of like build out your schedule, and you're not really locked into like, oh, I have to be here from 6 to 6 and it has to be staffed every day. And if this person doesn't show up, then I have to show up. You're kind of, when you have a brick and mortar, you're kind of always locked into like, this is what we have to, we have to make sure this thing is running.
Right. Yeah. Lights are on and people can order it, whatever.
So I don't really have much interest in a brick and mortar per se. I like doing the trailer. I think it's a cool way to kind of have like a daily physical presence without really committing to a full brick and mortar. But I don't know.
Yeah.
If honestly, like my dream is to have like a big warehouse that I could really push production and do a lot of wholesale out of it. Like almost more like a brewery kind of vibe, where somewhere you go to get a coffee drink, but it's not going to be like, it's not for like the everyday commuter.
Yeah. It's like a special thing
coming in, running. Like I want, like, I need a drink. I need to leave. I don't really want to, work that kind of gig.
Yeah.
I'd rather, if I did fall into a bigger space, I'd want it to be more of just like, we do production and then maybe at night we do events or sort of thing.
Cool. Yeah. And so as we're kind of wrapping up here and people are listening to this and they're like, oh, Cozz Coffee, like I want to try that. Is there something, and maybe this isn't a question that makes sense, but that like makes your coffee specifically unique? Like, why would they get your coffee when they can get a different coffee, aside from supporting a local business and a guy that's doing a lot of cool things?
Well, the if you were to buy the bags, I mean, it technically doesn't really stand out that much. It's high quality, good sourced coffee, properly roasted, so you would be supported.
Sure, but you get good coffee there.
But when I do the events like the farmers markets or just coming to the trailer every day, I do try to like, I have like normal drinks like vanilla latte, caramel latte, but I do try to like make unique stuff that is only available on the trailer, or not as, not something you'd walk into. So I do try to like come up with stuff that is like pushing me creatively in that regard. So I have stuff like birch beer espresso is always the really popular one. It's just a shot of espresso poured on a birch beer.
Yeah.
Then right now I have that one. I have a hot honey lemonade espresso.
Interesting.
And then espresso tonics are like the popular drink right now amongst like cool cafes. So I have a lemon basil espresso tonic. Yeah. But I try to always change the menu for farmers markets. And then once summer hits, I've been doing like custom. I do the gelato machine's right here, but do like small batches of gelato to make like affogatos.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But yeah, the coffee itself is just
it's coffee.
It's good coffee.
It's good coffee.
I mean, that's the hard thing.
Quality, you know, like you said, like sourced the right way, roasted properly, and all that. But you know,
I'm not here to sell you a bridge or anything. I don't. No, that's the hard thing with coffee is and it's also subjective. Like I think that's what makes coffee hard is some people like think good coffee means that it's high in caffeine. Some people think good coffee is dark roasted. Some people think good coffee is sugary drinks. So it's like the spectrum for good coffee is very wide range.
Totally.
But I try to just do like, just medium roast, nice medium roast.
Yeah. Amazing. Let me check the time. So if people are listening to this and they're like, man, Cozz got a lot of stuff going on. I want to learn more about all these things. Where are places you would send them to do that?
I post everything on my 2 Instagrams. My business account is Cozz Coffee, and then my civilian account is John.Cozz. John Cozz was stolen by one of my friends a decade ago. Yeah. And he won't give it back to me. But those 2 places. I post everything on Instagram. I'm pretty active on there. I'm bad at like newsletters, that sort of thing. I don't really like emailing people. I think the whole time of owning this business, I've sent out 3 email letters. And the last one was, the first 2 were in the first month of doing it. And the last one was when I started doing the trailer here as like a daily thing.
Yeah.
And that was only a few, so it's like 3.5 years in between sending out emails. And I got like 4 messages from my friends like, what the hell is this? Why are you emailing me now? I'm like, all right, no
more.
Yeah.
No more letters.
So just the Instagrams are probably the best places.
Cool. And they could either come find the truck, they could still order online.
So I ship to all 50 states, do local delivery in Essex County zone. I think it's like a 5-mile radius of Belleville. I have the trailer running here as like a daily thing not daily. I said that before.
Here in Belleville, people are unaware
727 Geralman Street in Belleville on Tuesday through Saturday, 7 to noon. And then I do farmers markets and just if there's other events. But I do the South Orange, Bloomfield, and Nutley farmers market right now.
Cool. Awesome. Well, this has been great. Thank you for joining us on the episode. Thanks for the coffee. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was cool to kind of like learn your story, and I've seen it. Like I've seen you do stuff and doing things, but to actually kind of get like a look under the hood was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Of course, we'll make sure we put all the social handles in the show notes. People can just go click them. We'll obviously put greetingsfromthegardenState.com in the show notes as well, which is where you can get all of our other episodes because this year we're crushing it with guests. John, thank you so much for
having me.
Absolutely. So again, this has been the Greetings from the Garden State podcast, powered by the New Jersey Lottery. I'm Mike Ham. He was John Cozz. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.